Howdy folks, here we meet again. I'd like to speak about a topic of what is mentioned in Genesis, and that is the next thing. And I just recently found out one explanation how it could be understood. Genesis chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. Well, a lot of people say, well, if God is truly God, he doesn't need rest, and so this proves that God is not true and so on. Okay, well, I can understand the way of thinking, but it's not correct. Because if you look at the God and who he is and how he is and his nature and etc., you have to look at the whole Bible, not just one verse that you can explain according to your own way of thinking. No, you have to take the whole world, the word, or the whole word of God. Okay, I'm going now to John, the Gospel according to John, and I'm starting starting from verse chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came, he came as a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not the light, but he was sent to bear witness of that light. That was a true light which lighteth every man to come. Has come into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came to his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe in his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. This is about Jesus. Jesus as the Word of God. Not only that, but also that via Jesus, everything was made. So Jesus actually made everything. Well, I'm going to Mark 4. Mark 4. And then verse 35 to 41. 35 to 41. And the same day when the evening was come, Jesus said unto them, let us pass over to the other side of the lake. They were going in a boat. And when they had sent away the multitudes, there was a lot of group of people with Jesus, and they sent him away. They took him, Jesus, even as even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. Okay, and he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said unto him, Master, do you not care that we are perishing? And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? Okay, what we see is that Jesus is asleep. We see that in John, Jesus is pictured as the creator of everything. The Bible also mentions somewhere that you cannot see God. God is spirit. If you would see God, you would vanish. You would die. You cannot live seeing God himself. So what God had to do is make a three-dimensional picture of himself, just like I can take a two-dimensional picture of me. Like this film is a two-dimensional picture of me, talking, etc. So, God had to, and so he made Jesus, God has made Jesus as a blueprint for how we look. Because in the beginning, God created also humans after his image. So God had to make an image of himself that we could relate to. It's hard for us as physical beings to relate to a spiritual being, in this case, God, creator. So what God had to do is actually make, in this case, a human being, based on how Jesus was, we were made. Yeah, but Jesus, in many respects, is, especially when Jesus came to earth as a baby, he is in most things, he is a normal human. Yeah, just like us. We need sleep, need to eat, etc. All human kind of stuff. And because in coming to the earth as Jesus, he set aside his divine things until that he was started his mission after being baptized by John the Baptist. And from that point on, the Spirit of God came on him. And then he is God's son, so he's divine, but he's also human. So he got a lot of human aspects when he was preaching on earth. But he was also divine at the same time. So God man, yeah. Just like God came to a temple and the tabernacle in the times of Moses and in the time of Solomon, and then God's Spirit, God's Shekinah glory entered the temple. So God's Shekinah glory was with Jesus from the beginning on that Jesus was born. But Jesus also needed sleep as a human being. So if you look at Genesis chapter 2, then if John, the first chapter, says that Jesus is the creator of all things, that God via Jesus is the creator of all things, then it's not more than logical that after 6 days of working, that Jesus, the creator, needed 1 day of rest. Yeah. So that is for me the only explanation that I can find, which is in agreement with the whole text of the Tanakh and the Brit Hadashah. What we also see is that Jesus is fighting or is meeting Abraham when God has promised to Sarah and Abraham a promised son, Yitzchak. So there were 3 men, from which one of was God. Jesus, the person of Jesus, came to Abraham and said, well, next year when I return, you're going to have a son. And Sarah didn't believe it in the first place. She was laughing. Well, I'm an old woman and my man is old. So, okay. But indeed, it became true. Next time, Isaac, Yitzchak, he got two sons, Esau and Jacob. And Jacob, when he fled from his brother Esau, and then later on returned, but before that he met his brother, he had a fight with God, and at the river of Jabbok. And what did Jacob say? I have seen the face of God, and I stayed alive. And he called that place Pniel. Pni, face, El, Pniel, the face of God. So he saw God, but it was Jesus again. So he fought with Jesus. So Jesus, God himself, came in Jesus many times, or several times, to us people in the Tanakh period, in the Old Testament period. So the only logical explanation, and I hope I'm right, of course, is that the person that created the whole universe is God, of course, but via Jesus. Yeah? Because God also said, let us make man after our image. Yeah? And God made man and woman. Yeah? So that's what the first chapter of Genesis tells. And even and in Genesis 1, verse 26, and God said, let us make man in our image. Well, then you have to have an image and a blueprint to do that, to do so. Well, we are made after the blueprint of Jesus, but God had to make Jesus then first. So God and Jesus are actually the same. It's like me taking a picture for myself. If you want to meet me, you can meet my picture. I mean, when you look at this movie, I'm not really there. It's just my picture. It's just a movie about me. You see? So, and then I can send all on YouTube all over the whole world. Well, and a little bit like that, it's with God and Jesus. We cannot see God. God is spirit. We cannot perceive that directly because we die. And so God had to make an image of himself. And that's also what, I think it's in Hebrew or something, or Galatian, I don't know exactly. That says that Jesus is the image, the picture of God. If you've seen Jesus, that's why Jesus also said, I think it's in the John Gospel, it said, when Thomas or Philippus said, well, show us the Father. And then Jesus says, well, Philip, or Thomas, no, Philip, I think, I have been so long with you, about 3 years, and you still do this request. If you've seen me, you have seen the Father. Now, so that is God's way to communicate with us via Jesus. That's why in the seventh day, Jesus had to rest for that day. Yes, God himself cannot get tired. That's why somewhere else that he doesn't become weary or tired or so. He does. God himself doesn't sleep. Does not need sleep. But his image, Jesus, he's human, God, divine, human. So it's about 100% human, 100% God. And so, but he needs sleep as well. So that's the only logical explanation I can find on why God needs sleep in Genesis 2. Okay, this is what I wanted to share with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you understand. Hasta la próxima.